TV KPM.
Assalamualaikum, salam sejahtera, what's up everybody? Anda sedang menyaksikan Sukses STPM 2021 bersama dengan saya Akmal Nazri. Apa khabar semua calon-calon STPM? Sihat ke? Alhamdulillah. Baik, hari ini kita akan sentuh bagi mata pelajaran Chemistry ataupun Kimia dalam semester 3. Dan saya pasti ramai yang mengambil mata pelajaran ini dan ada juga yang macam, alah, ada lagi bab-bab yang saya tak sentuh dan kuasai lagi. Jangan risau, sebab kita akan bersama dengan seorang guru yang mempunyai pengalaman selama 15 tahun, guys. Nak tahu siapakah guru ini? Jom kita tengok profil guru hari ini. Let's go. Itu dia. Cikgu Irni atau lebih mesra kita panggil dia Cikgu Ni. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam, Akmal.
Sihat, Cikgu?
Alhamdulillah.
Ya, kenapa tu Cikgu macam nak bernasyid je, Cikgu?
Ya. Maklumlah bulan puasa.
Okey. Cikgu, ini ramai beritahu saya ni yang Cikgu ni kalau mengajar memang dia punya caranya cukup santai, cukup ceria. Betul ke, Cikgu?
InsyaAllah betul.
Iya, dan kalau kita nak sebut mengenai mata pelajaran Kimia semester 3 ni kan, Cikgu, ada juga orang nak tahu juga dia punya format, Cikgu, bagi kertas peperiksaan kimia ni macam mana, Cikgu? Okey,
format kita nak start sekarang ke dengan slides ataupun kita cerita
kita duduk dululah, Cikgu.
Kita duduk dulu.
Sekarang, Cikgu, dipersilakan.
Okey. So,
okey, bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Terima kasih, Akmal.
Sama-sama.
Okey, jadi kita akan tengok untuk kita punya format peperiksaan. Okey, itu adalah saya.
Ya.
Okey, jadi untuk STPM semester 3 Chemistry, kita akan fokus kepada organic chemistry.
Baik.
All topics will be covered on organic chemistry.
Okey.
Jadi, the examination format for semester 3 or paper 3 chemistry, kita ada 3 section. Section A, kita ada 15 objective questions, which give us 15 marks. And then kita ada section B, 2 soalan struktur yang akan memberikan kita 15 markah. Dan juga section C, we have 3 essay questions, where from the 3 essay questions, you have to answer only 2, which will give you 30 marks. And the total marks is 60. The tiga-tiga section ini perlu dijawab dalam masa 1 jam 30 minit sahaja.
Alright.
Dan seterusnya, this is time management guidelines. So for time management guidelines, for the section A, 15 objective questions, please answer in 15 minutes. And then for the 2 structured questions, answer also in 15 minutes. And the last section, 2 essay questions, should be answered in 50 minutes. Jadi total masa kita menjawab untuk ketiga-tiga section ini adalah 80 minit. Jadi kita ada balance masa 10 minit. Akmal, kita nak buat apa dengan 10 minit tu?
Obviously rechecking, teacher.
Yes, correct, Akmal. So, kenapa kita recheck ni untuk 10 minit saja?
Sebabnya walaupun 10 minit, itulah masa untuk kita tengok. Kadang-kadang ada yang terlepas pandang, soalan kita tak jawab lagi, Cikgu.
Ya, betul, Akmal. Dan juga satu lagi, kita tak nak masa untuk rechecking ni banyak sangat sebab nanti pelajar akan was-was dengan jawapan mereka.
Ya, Cikgu.
Ya, dan mereka akan tukar jawapannya betul jadi salah. Okey. Jadi ini adalah time management guidelines dan sekarang kita akan tengok analysis item for the past years 2015 until 2020. So kalau kita tengok kat sini, ini adalah taburan soalan-soalan yang ditanya di dalam paper 3. Jadi ini tak ada spot-spot question, just nak bagi tahu pelajar untuk tengok macam mana distribution of the question in section B and section C. For section A, of course, semua topik will be covered because that is objective, kan? Jadi kita fokus tengok yang bagi markah lebih banyak. Okey.
Itu apa dia cikgu? Ni macam kita nak jawab pula yang ni.
Ya, betul. Ni kita akan datang kepada segmen yang kedua.
Ya, terkejut saya. Mana dia punya soalan ni cikgu?
Belum lagi.
Itu baru buka dimah cikgu kan?
Ya, betul.
Itu baru format kertas. Jadi saya pasti murid-murid pun dah tahu dah macam mana, dah tahu nak plan bahagian masa tu kan cikgu. Tapi kita nak bertirai dulu. Selepas ini, cikgu akan kongsikan macam mana kita nak dapat keputusan yang sukses bagi mata pelajaran kimia. Semester lepas ini dalam Sukses STPM 2021.
Didik TV KPM. Didik TV KPM.
Ya, masih lagi menyaksikan Sukses STPM 2021 bersama dengan saya Akmal Nazri dan juga Cikgu Ning kita dalam mata pelajaran kimia bagi semester 3. Dan sekarang ini kita akan masuk dalam kertas A ataupun section A, Cikgu.
Section A, Akmal.
Cantik section A. Silakan Cikgu Ning.
Yes. Now we are moving on to section A.
Baik.
Where section A are on objective questions. So these are the type of questions from my analysis. Jadi kalau kita tengok di sini, jenis-jenis soalan yang akan keluar dalam section A are identify sigma and pi bonds or type of hybridization of carbon atom in carbon compound, or they can ask you on classification based on functional group. And then they will ask you to arrange in order of physical properties, for example boiling point, acidity or basicity. And next type of question, they will ask you to choose reagent, condition or scheme for the preparation of a compound. Next, they can also ask you to choose correct product form. And last, they can ask you to choose the correct or true or not true statement. Now we're moving on to the next slides. Okay, so soalan ini adalah daripada soalan section A 2015 ulangan semester 3. Which numbers of sigma and pi bonds corresponds correctly to the molecules C2H4 and C2H2? So here, in order for you to answer these questions, you first have to draw the structural formulae of ethene C2H4 and ethine C2H2. So from the structural formulae of the two compounds, you will know that for ethene, there are 5 sigma bonds and 1 pi bond. And then for ethine, there is 3 sigma bond and 2 pi bond, which will give you the answer, which is D. And then moving on to the next question. This is again from 2015, but this is semester 3, not repeat, yeah? So here, the structural formula of Wafering is shown below. Wafering is classified as, so students, in order for you to answer this type of question, you have to analyze the structural formula of Wafering, and then once you analyze the structural formula of Wafering, you can identify there are actually 3 homologous series present in Wafering, which are ester, alcohol, and ketone. So that's why the answer goes to A and ester. Because the other option, we don't have the other 2. So we only have 1 ester, that is the answer.
Okay.
Next, we move on to the other objective question. Ini daripada 2015 juga. The acidity of the following organic compounds can be determined from their pKa values. Which is the correct sequence of the compounds according to the ascending order of pKa values? So kat sini nak jawab soalan ni, you have to know for compound 1 that is a carboxylic acid with 1 carbon, and for the compound 2 that is another carboxylic with a chlorine atom at carbon number 2, and then the third compound that is another carboxylic acid where the chlorine atom is at carbon number 3. And the last compound, the fourth compound, that is a phenol. Phenol contain an aromatic, phenol is an aromatic compound with the benzene ring. So in order for you to what we call, in order for you to put the correct sequence in order of pKa values, you need to understand this involving acid strength. So acid strength from the strongest to the weakest, which correspond to the pKa values from smallest to largest. So let us look at the option given. Option C and D are eliminated because compound 4 is the weakest acid. Compound 2 and compound 3 are chloroacids, which are stronger acids because there is electron withdrawing effect of the chlorine atom. Electron withdrawing effect, here you also known as inductive effect. And the last one, compound 2 is the strongest acid because the chlorine atom in the compound 3 is further away from the carboxyl. So the correct answer, the correct sequence is option B.
B, 2, 3, 1 and 4.
Yes.
All right.
Next, we move on to the other objective question. This is from 2019.
Oh, okay.
Reaction scheme for the preparation of benzyl 4-methyl benzoate is shown below. Which reagents are used in 1 and 2? The reaction scheme given to you, what are you going to do with the reaction scheme? So here we can see there are, the starting material is a Grignard reagent, undergo reaction to form X, and then the final product is an ester. So here, the correct 1 and 2 are A. So why is it A? Option A is the answer because acyl chloride group reacts with alcohol to form ester. Whereas option B is not the answer because CH2OH group does not react with alcohol to form ester. Alcohol cannot react with another alcohol.
Okay.
And then C, from the structure of product, option C and D are eliminated because the missing of CH3 group in reagent 2.
Okay.
We move on to the other question, 2015 repeat. Compound X shows the following properties. Produces white precipitate with bromine water, does not form a dye with nitrous acid at temperature 0 degrees Celsius, produces a type of salt when hydrochloric acid or aqueous solution of sodium hydroxide added. Which is compound X? Looking at the options given to you, A, B, C and D, we can identify that in A there is aliphatic alcohol and phenylamine. For B we have phenol and then we have phenylamine. For C we have phenol and alkylamine, and D we have alkylamine and benzoic acid.
Yep.
So here, from the structures of the compound given, we can say that X maybe is phenol or phenylamine. Option D is eliminated. X is not a phenylamine. For the properties, second properties, X is not a phenylamine. So option A and B are eliminated. So that's why the answer goes to C. And those two are the chemical equation for the reaction of C with acid hydrochloric and solution of sodium hydroxide.
All right. Next question.
Okay, next question. We have the structural formula of menthol is shown below. Which statement is true about menthol? So when you look at the structure of the menthol, we can identify there are 3 chiral carbons and there is a functional group hydroxyl inside menthol. So menthol is classified as secondary alcohol. So the answer, the true answer is C. It is a secondary alcohol, of course. And then why A is wrong? Because we know once you have chiral carbon, you are optically active. And then when you are a menthol here, so due to the presence of large hydrocarbon group in menthol, it is soluble in organic solvent such as menthol. So that is wrong for B. And then D, since the menthol contain chiral carbon, it will show optical isomerism, not geometrical isomerism.
Yes. Okay. Next question, teacher.
Next question.
Yeah.
Okay, next question right after this.
Yes, okay, kita berhenti rehat dulu. Jangan ke mana, selepas ini kita akan pergi ke section B. Semua selepas ini dalam Sukses STPM 2021.
Didik TV KPM. Didik TV KPM.
Baik, masih lagi menyaksikan Sukses STPM 2021 bersama dengan saya Akmal Nazri. Tadi kita dah sentuh dah bagi section A dan sekarang ini kita nak tengok pula bagi section B bersama dengan Cikgu Ning. Silakan Cikgu.
Terima kasih Akmal. Okay, we move on. This is on section B, structured questions. So from my analysis, the type of questions they can ask you in section B are such as this. Name a compound using IUPAC nomenclature, or they will ask you to draw the structural formula of compounds, and then they can ask you to state reagent, condition, and observation. They can also ask you to complete the equations or state reagents and condition for the synthesis of a compound, and last they can ask you to state or explain the physical properties. So the question on this part, on this section B, normally it is simple and compact.
Okay.
Okay, so we move on to example questions.
Number 1.
This is structured questions from 2017. Draw the structural formula of a major product formed when menthol reacts with the following reagent: sodium, hot concentrated sulfuric acid, hot acidified potassium manganate 7, and ethanoyl chloride. So here, when we look at the structure of the menthol, we can see there is one functional group in menthol, which is hydroxyl. Okay, so this hydroxyl can be classified, this menthol can be classified as secondary alcohol. So how are we going to answer this type of question? Since the functional group is hydroxyl from the homologous series of alcohol, alcohol can react with sodium to form a salt, which is a sodium alkoxide, and it will release hydrogen gas. So this is the part where the conversion occur from the hydroxyl, and then you have the O and A there.
Okay.
Okay,
Alright.
and then next, here, the reagent is hot concentrated sulfuric acid. So what will happen to hydroxyl once it react with hot concentrated sulfuric acid? Here, dehydration of alcohol occur to produce alkene. But when you look at this structure of menthol, okay, the structure of menthol, it can produce two different structures of alkene. It can produce two different structures of alkene because as we can see, okay, as we can see here, we have NH here, okay, and then we have NH here. So there are two carbons containing hydrogen there. So dehydration will occur here or it will occur here to produce two different alkenes. So which one is the major product? Because our question asks for a major product. Between these two alkenes, which one will be the major product? So here we have to follow Sitzeff rule. What is stated by Sitzeff rule? Sitzeff rule states that the more substituted alkenes are formed preferentially because they are more stable than less substituted alkene. What does it mean? Less substituted,
Yes,
more
teacher.
substituted?
I'm not understand, teacher.
Okay, so I will explain. So here, when we look at the two alkene, the top one, okay, the top one here is the carbon-carbon double bond.
Okay.
So these are the atom or group of atom that are bonded to the carbon-carbon double bond. As we can see here, this carbon double bond contain a substituted alkyl. And then for the second one, the bottom alkene, as you can see here, this is the carbon-carbon double bond. But the carbon-carbon double bond only bonded to hydrogen. There is no substituted alkene. So that's why this is considered as the major product.
Okay.
Okay,
The
we
next
move on
one.
to the next reaction. So this one is oxidation of secondary alcohol to produce ketone. So what happened here? The hydrogen from the hydroxyl group is lost along with the hydrogen bonded to the carbon alpha, or the carbon that is bonded or attached to the oxygen. The remaining oxygen then forms double bond with the carbon to form what we call as homologous series ketone.
Okay.
Okay, next. The last reaction is esterification. Esterification occurs between the alcohol and ethanoyl chloride. So as you can see here, this is the functional group ester or homologous series ester.
Okay. And this is a new question, right?
Now, no, not yet. This
Oh.
is the same question.
Okay.
So now you have to answer the question. They ask you to draw the major product. So from the major product, you have to put inside all the tables only the major product. As you can see here, if you draw the major product with the side product for 1, 2, 3, and 4, that is wrong. You cannot write like this. You have to answer according to the question. The question asks you to give a major product, means one major product. So this here, for number 1, H2, hydrogen gas, is a side product. No need. We need only the major product. And then for the number 2, again, you write the water molecule. Water molecule is also the, what again? Akmal, do you know what is water molecule here? Sama macam H2. Kita panggil apa tadi?
Side product, cikgu.
Yes, correct, Akmal. So again, this is wrong. Just only write the major product. And then for the third one, also please, students, do not write
H2O.
water. That is wrong. Okay, so without water, you only have one major product. And the last part, this is the structure of the major product. Again, do not write the side product, which is HCl.
Okay. That means, teacher, how we want to draw the structural formula of a major product? That means mostly all the students banyak buat mistake macam ni lah kan, cikgu?
Yes, correct. This is the common mistake done by students. So please, students, remember, when you are to write or to draw the major product, focus only the major product. Side product is not a major product.
Okay, alright. That's one of the tips and tricks, right, teacher?
Yes, correct, Akmal.
Okay. Next question.
Thank you, Akmal. Alright, next question. This is a structured question from 2018. The reaction scheme for the preparation of 3-nitrobenzoic acid from benzene is shown below.
Okay.
Which identify reagents X, Y, and Z. So how are we going to tackle this kind of questions? We have to look at the reaction scheme given. From the reaction scheme, you start off with the starting material, which is benzene. Then benzene undergo a reaction with reagent X to produce ethyl benzene. And then next, ethyl benzene undergo a reaction with Y to produce benzoic acid. And then from benzoic acid undergo nitration with Z to produce 3-nitrobenzoic acid. So from here, you can identify type of reaction, which is Friedel-Crafts alkylation to produce ethyl benzene. And then next is oxidation, and last is nitration. So the correct reagent for X is chloroethane in the presence of AlCl3, which is a halogen carrier, so that the substitution can occur on the benzene ring. And then for reagent Y, it is acidified potassium manganate 7 and heat, or you can write KMNO4, H3O+, and heat. So students, normally heat is considered as condition, isn't it? But this time around, for this question, you have to put heat as the reagent. Why? Because without heat, the oxidation cannot occur. So heat has become the reagent. And then last, reagent Z, using a mixture of concentrated nitric acid and concentrated sulfuric acid. So all this will give you 1 mark for each correct reagent.
I see. Okey cikgu, untuk yang soalan macam ni kan, structure question bagi section B kan cikgu, apa yang kesilapan yang sering dilakukan oleh calon-calon STPM ni cikgu?
Okey, biasanya pelajar dia suka untuk tertukar-tukar. What are the type of reagent and what is the type of the reaction that occur. Why? Because pelajar-pelajar lupa what are the reactions or the chemical properties of the compound involved. Jadi it is very important for students to know the chemical properties for each functional group so that you can tackle this question correctly.
Itu bagi section B kan cikgu.
Yes, betul.
A sudah, B sudah, selepas ni apa cikgu?
Lepas ni kita cuba tengok next.
Iya. Tak ada apa-apa pun cikgu.
Tak ada. Next kita tunggu selepas ni.
Baik, kita menjadi hari semuanya selepas ini.
Didik TV KPM. Didik TV KPM.
Alhamdulillah masih lagi menyaksikan Sukses STPM 2021 bersama dengan saya Akmal Najib. Tadi kita dah sentuh bagi section B Cikgu Ning, dan sekarang ni kita nak tengok bagi section C. Inilah section yang mana saya pasti ramai calon-calon STPM yang sering kali membuat kesilapan. Betul Cikgu?
Betul Akmal.
Okey, jom kita tengok.
Alright. Let us move on to the next section. Okay, so this is on section C. So section C, as we all know, it is on essay questions. So the type of questions that normally asked, from my analysis, the type of questions normally asked are to draw and explain the isomers produced from the reaction, or to deduce structural formula of the compounds, or to suggest and explain a chemical test to distinguish between compounds, and next they can ask to write the chemical equations involved in the reaction, or they can ask to write or explain the reaction scheme, and last they can ask about write the reaction mechanism. So we take a look at the example question.
Okay.
This is essay questions from 2019. The structural formula of vanillin, a phenolic aldehyde, is shown below. A. Using vanillin as the starting material, state suitable reagents and reaction conditions to carry out the reactions of condensation, mild oxidation, and esterification.
Okay.
For each reaction, write the chemical equation and state the observable changes. Marks allocated are 9. So how are we going to answer this type of question with a lot of marks here? As you can see, students, please underline all the important points in the question. So here, when you want to start answering the question, it is very important for you to organize your answer properly, because we have 3 different types of reaction. We don't want to confuse with one another. So here, we start off with condensation. So the reagent for the condensation reaction with vanillin to occur is using 2,4-dinitrophenylhydrazine. Or if you do not want to write 2,4-dinitrophenylhydrazine because it is quite long, you can use Brady's reagent. Or if you are comfortable with drawing the structural formula, you can use the structural formula of you can draw the structural formula of 2,4-dinitrophenylhydrazine. Correct reagent, you get 1 mark. So next, you are going to write the chemical equation involved in the condensation reaction. As you can see here, we focus on the organic compounds from the reactants and the product. The side product that we get here, H2O, water, is optional. Either you want to write it down or not. Okay, so that is the correct chemical equation for the condensation reaction. Will give you 1 mark. And then next, the observable changes for the condensation reaction is the orange precipitate form, which will give you another 1 mark. Next reaction is mild oxidation. So students, here you have to remember, mild oxidation cannot use the oxidizing agent that is very popular with us, which is potassium manganate 7 or potassium dichromate 6. So these two are a strong oxidizing agent. So if you use these two, either one of it, it is wrong already. You are not having mild oxidation anymore. So the correct reagent to carry out mild oxidation is using Tollens reagent. And the condition is warm. So here, the correct reagent, correct condition, you will have 1 mark. So next, you have to proceed to write the chemical equation. For the chemical equation, before you write the chemical equation, we know that by using Tollens, we will have observation as silver mirror. So here, you produce a precipitate as your observation. So that's why when you write the chemical equation for the mild oxidation reaction, as you can see at the product part, you have to identify what is the precipitate form, and that precipitate is the argentum or the silver, and this argentum is written the physical state as solid, whereas the rest without the physical state. And again, here, as we can see, there are 2 side products produced in this chemical reaction. But these 2 side products are again optional. And of course, like I said just now, the correct observation for the mild oxidation reaction is silver mirror form, and you get another 1 mark. So last reaction is esterification. So esterification here, the reagent used is ethanoyl chloride. You will get 1 mark. And then the chemical equation, as shown here, you can see that we focus again on the organic compounds from the reactant side and then the product side. So the HCl form is optional. That gives you 1 mark for the correct chemical equation. And last is the observation. When you form an ester, that is the very significant observation for ester, which is the fruity smell or the sweet smell. Correct, 1 mark.
Okay.
Okay, from the same question, we have question B. Vanillin reacts with Grignard reagent to form an alcohol. Write all chemical equations involved in the formation of alcohol, which give you 3 marks. So basically here we will think, oh, okay, we have to write chemical equations. So how are the marks allocated? Let us look at the sample answer. So here, when we talk about the vanillin, we can identify that inside vanillin there is a functional group. That functional group is known as carbonyl. So this carbonyl is the functional group that can react with the Grignard reagent. So when you draw the structural formulae of the vanillin and the Grignard reagent to get or to produce the intermediate, correctly you draw the structural formula of the intermediate, you will get 1 mark. Not as the total chemical equation, but on the correct structural formula of one product, which is the intermediate. And then next, from the intermediate, undergo acidic hydrolysis to produce the final product, which is the alcohol. So here, when you write the correct reagent and condition to carry out reaction on the intermediate to get the final product, which is the alcohol, you will get 1 mark. And then the final mark you will get is the correct structure of the final product, which is the alcohol. So overall here you get 3 marks, even though they ask you to write a chemical equation, but as you can see from the sample answer, it is not the case. Moving on. This is the next question from 2015 repeat semester 3. Amphetamine 2-amino 1-phenyl propane is a strong stimulant which can be synthesized from phenylalanine. Between amphetamine and phenylalanine, which compound has a higher melting point? Explain your answer, 3 marks. So from the compounds given, phenylalanine and amphetamine, we can know that from their structures that phenylalanine is an amino acid, whereas amphetamine is not an amino acid. So first off, you have to answer which one has the higher melting point. So of course, that is phenylalanine, 1 mark. And then you have to explain why you said that phenylalanine is having higher melting point. In solid state, phenylalanine exists as zwitter ion, which produces stronger ionic interaction between neighboring zwitter ion. So that will give you 1 mark for explanation. And then the second mark for explanation, where can we get it? So here you have to explain about the other compound, which is amphetamine, which has the lower melting point. So the explanation is that amphetamine cannot exist as zwitter ion. So that will give you the 3rd mark for this question. Moving on. Okay, from the same question. Number 2, show how amphetamine can be synthesized from phenylalanine. 5 marks allocated. So students, when you come across this type of question, in order for you to answer, you have to form a reaction scheme, because the keyword there is synthesized from a starting material to a final product. So you have to write a reaction scheme. So the reaction scheme here, before you carry out the reactions that occur on the starting material to get the final product, we have to analyze on the starting material, which is phenylalanine. From phenylalanine to get the final product, you can see that there is a functional group carboxyl in phenylalanine. And then that carboxyl changes into a methyl group in the final product. So meaning that here you have to focus on the carboxyl chemical properties. So now here, what happens is that carboxyl will undergo reduction, and the correct reagent and condition is the presence of lithium aluminium hydride in the presence of dry ether, and acidic hydrolysis with heat. So that is the correct reagent and correct condition. Will give you 1 mark. So the next one, once you drawn the correct structural formula of the intermediate, where from carboxyl it has been converted to CH2OH, you will get another 1 mark. And then proceed. This CH2OH will undergo dehydration reaction. So dehydration reaction is going to produce a carbon-carbon double bond. So what is the correct reagent condition for the alcohol to undergo dehydration? The correct reagent and condition is hot concentrated sulfuric acid. So you get another 1 mark. Next on, once you draw the correct structural formula of the second intermediate with the carbon-carbon double bond, you will get another 1 mark. And last, this carbon-carbon double bond undergo hydrogenation reaction with the presence of catalyst, nickel, and heat. So that will give you another 1 mark due to the correct reagent and condition. However, once you drawn the structural formula of the amphetamine, which is the final product, there is no marks allocated for the structural formula of amphetamine.
Okay, I see.
We move on to the next question.
Yep. Question number 3.
Yes, question number 3 is an essay from 2015. Isopropyl benzene is an example of an alkyl benzene which can react with chloromethane in the presence of halogen carrier FeCl3, ferrum trichloride. Draw the mechanism for the reaction and name the type of reaction. 7 marks. There are 2 things that you have to answer here. Draw the mechanism and name the type of reaction. So the first mark you will get is when you draw the correct structural formula of isopropyl benzene. And then you answer what is the type of reaction. The type of reaction is electrophilic aromatic substitution. As you can see, student, I highlight the word aromatic because that is compulsory. Without the word aromatic, your answer is wrong. So when you are wrong, you cannot get that 1 mark. So this is on aromatic compound. So it's very important to get the aromatic there. And then for the mechanism, the first step is formation of electrophile. This is in a chemical equation where you react between the chloromethane with the halogen carrier FeCl3 to get the electrophile, which is CH3+, and the other one is FeCl4-. That is 1 mark. And then the next step is you have to draw the nucleophile that attack the electrophile. So here, very important, student, when you draw the arrow, make sure the arrow comes from the carbon number 3, between carbon number 3 and carbon number 4, touching the bond between carbon number 3 and carbon number 4, and then extrapolate going into your electrophile. So the correct origin and ends of your arrow will give you 1 mark. And then next mark you will get is when you draw the correct structural formula of your carbocation. And then from the carbocation, you undergo the last step, which is deprotonation. Deprotonation here, again, you have to draw the correct arrow. So the correct arrow starts from the bond between the carbon and hydrogen going into the carbon. So that carbon, do not go the arrow into the positive sign. That is wrong. So you have to move the arrow into the carbon, which will give you 1 mark. And then next, when you draw the final product, which is this, okay, the name is 4-isopropyltoluene, which is you don't have to name the final product, plus water will give you another 1 mark.
Okay, then this one, teacher, think like a proton, always positive.
Yes, always positive. Students, saya tahu sekarang ni this is your final, kita kata final chapter.
Lab.
Yes, final lab, final chapter of your life as a STPM student. Jadi ada masa lagi, tolonglah belajar betul-betul, dan saya akan bagi 2 tips.
Yang pertama?
Okay? Yang pertama, 2 tips ini. Yang pertama, pastikan pelajar betul-betul menjawab soalan yang ditanya. Jangan menjawab ikut suka perasaan pelajar. Okay? Itu adalah semasa peperiksaan. Sebelum peperiksaan, masa masih ada. Jangan berhenti untuk berusaha. Pastikan pelajar betul-betul menjawab soalan dan pastikan soalan tersebut adalah soalan yang berkualiti. Apa maksud cikgu dengan berkualiti? Pastikan pelajar menjawab soalan yang berbeza-beza, bukan soalan yang sama. Pastikan ia berbeza-beza supaya pelajar akan familiarize yourself with the different type of question yang macam cikgu tunjuk tadi. Jadi dengan itu, cikgu akhir sekali cikgu mengucapkan selamat maju jaya. Pastikan pelajar buat semester 3 ini yang terbaik sebab there is no repeat for you for semester 3.
Ya,
Thank
itu
you.
dia cikgu. Ingat, jawab soalannya apa cikgu? Berbeza-beza.
Berbeza-beza.
Iya, terima kasih banyak kepada Cikgu Ning dan juga calon-calon STPM. Alright, all the best. Dan ingat, cikgu mungkin saya nak tambah sikit cikgu.
Okey.
Ingat, orang kata minta restu dekat cikgu dan juga ibu bapa, itu juga yang paling penting. Alright, sampai di sini saja bagi Sukses STPM 2021. All the best. Alright, kita jumpa lagi. Saya Akmal Nazri. Assalamualaikum. Bye-bye.